Hi, I'm Anna, and today I'm going to be taking you through Down Dog for beginners. So Down Dog is a really foundational pose in yoga, and it's actually a really difficult pose as well, that especially when you're starting out can be really hard to get it right, essentially, and to feel like you're getting much out of the pose. So Down Dog is a fantastic pose for the whole posterior chain. So you're getting excellent shoulder extension in that position, and it's loaded as well because you've got weight there from your upper body. You're also getting fantastic hamstring stretch as well for the Down Dog. But I see a lot of people in classes struggling to get into the pose correctly, and then they're never progressing with that pose and not getting the most out of it. So let's come into it. So what we'll do is start on all fours and really press the hands firmly down into the floor and tuck the toes under, hips are over the knees. From here, we're going to start to lift the knees, and then everything turns on. So here, the lower belly engages, shoulders are firing up, quads, feeling the quads there as well. And then starting to lift the hips up. Keep the knees bent for now. Okay. So, a few things here to look out for. Ideally, we want the legs straight and the heels to the floor, long through the spine, so no rounding through the back, and a little bit of space between the shoulders and the ears, so we're not hunching the ears up, okay? Then we want nice equal weight through both feet, from the toe all the way to the heel, and in the palm of the hand, nice even weight as well, distributed throughout the hands. And then to activate this pose, we press the feet down into the floor, so big toe pressing down into the floor. And with the hands, we're imagining that we're trying to turn the hands away from each other slightly. So we're getting a little bit of torque there with the hands to activate right up through the shoulders and into the back. Okay, so that's sort of what we're looking for, ideally. Okay, but for a lot of people, they can't get into that pose straight away, with all the straight legs, straight back, etc. So some things that I really commonly see is rounding through the back in order to get those heels down. We're forcing the heels and we're doing these ones with the back. Okay, so we're rounding in order to get the legs straight and the heels down to the floor. Or maybe that's happening, but even still, the heels can't get to the floor. The other thing that we see is that the knees stay bent the whole time and that we never progress to getting those heels down. So we never start to engage the hamstrings in the movement. So in a lot of my classes, both YouTube and live classes, you will hear me say bend the knees if you need to. And this is a really good option to start to progress the pose if you need to bend the knees to get that length through the spine. But what we want to do is work towards getting the legs straight. And if we always bend the knees, we won't progress to that. Two of the main issues here is that people don't have the shoulder mobility. So that's why we get the rounding, and also the hamstrings are very tight as well. So that's why we get also the rounding of the back, but also the bending of the knees. So the hamstrings are really tight. We're not going to be able to bring the spine straight and the legs straight and the stomach towards the thighs because everything's too tight. Shoulders mobility is limited and hamstring mobility is limited, so we end up here. Okay, so now we know the main issues. How do we fix them? All right, so first of all, You can work on these mobility issues separately. So doing a mobility class, check out some of my mobility flows, or doing isolated mobility drills for like sets and reps is also a really good way to progress those movements. However, if you're in the middle of a yoga class, you need to have some options as well to be able to work on downward dog. So what I would suggest is using some blocks, or if you're at home, you could grab like a chair or a small table to raise the ground. Okay, so we're reducing that angle. I'll show you first with the blocks. My two different coloured and two different size blocks here. So you can use the blocks to lift the ground, which gives you more space. Okay, it gives you more space for if you have limited mobility and range through the shoulders. So this should allow you to get that length through the spine and hopefully as well get those straight legs and heels down to the floor. And if you're in a yoga class, it's fine to use the blocks. You can move them in and out of the way, or you can leave them there and just use them when you need to. But that's a good option. If that's not high enough and you're still finding rounding through the spine, or the heels can't get down to the floor, then we need to go up a little bit more. So a chair, a little table, something a bit higher, or if you have like a gym box is awesome as well because it has different levels, but most people don't have one of those at home, so some furniture is good. So same thing, we're just lifting the ground up towards you, hands on there. So we don't want the feet in too close or we're just doing a forward fold. We still want to keep that downward facing position. So feet back a little bit more. You might want to have this leaning against the wall so it doesn't slide away. And then you should be able to get into the position. So this is downward facing dog. It's just a little bit higher up. Okay, so obviously this is a bit harder to do in the middle of a yoga class with something a bit higher, but definitely at home, you could do some holds, hold for 60 seconds in this position, really pressing the toes down into the floor, hands press into the table. Okay, so that's a good tool to use, is to elevate the arms. All right. So there's some tools that you can use. Use the blocks in the yoga class to do your down dogs, and use the table as well at home or a chair to practice, to start to really get into the right form of the pose and start to open the shoulders and the hamstrings. So another few good tools to use is moving in and out of those ranges. And what we can do is that this allows the body to start to explore the end range and start to communicate to the nervous system that it's okay to go there. So that might look something like walking the feet. So even if the heels don't get all the way to the ground, we can move in and out, and each time you might be able to explore a little bit further. Okay, another one is coming in and out of the pose, rocking forward into that all fours. But we can also add a little bit of strength work by hovering the knees and then press back. Hover, press back, and each time see if you can really stretch the heels down. They might not touch, again, they might not touch, but stretching till you feel that sensation. And the breath is really important here as well. So keep that steady inhalation, exhalation. Ooh, fire's getting a bit hot. So you'll move in and out of the range. So there's some nice ones to incorporate into your down dog. If you want to work on those areas in isolation, then that's a really good idea as well. So next I'm going to show you two mobility drills, which will really help you to improve your downward facing dog. Okay, so using a strap to do dislocates. So you can either use a strap, a scarf, a belt, whatever you have lying around, or if you have a stick, like a piece of dowel, or you can even use a broom to do these, anything that's going to allow you to hold on to something and take the hands overhead. So start quite wide with the hands wider than shoulder width apart, and take it all the way up overhead and start to take it behind you. Okay, all the way back. Keep the tension the whole time so we're not allowing the scarf or the strap to get loose. Okay, tension the whole time. Bring it back, just come just in front of the face and all the way back behind you. Yep. So you can do these for time or count them for yourself. I sometimes do these in the morning, like I'll just have the strap in the kitchen and while I'm boiling the kettle and stuff, just grab it and do a few. And that's a good way just to start to incorporate this kind of stuff into your life rather than, oh, I've just got to do a whole session today of all these mobility things and to improve my practice. But you can fit these in throughout the day. Do this at work. It's awesome if you're at a desk. Okay, so that's shoulder opening drill. To make it harder, you walk the hands in if that's starting to feel a bit easy, and you make the hands narrower to challenge yourself, okay? But just watch if you go narrow and you're starting to do this kind of thing to get the strap behind, then just take it out. So we want to make sure that we're maintaining that form whilst doing the movement, okay? So that's that one. Now I'll show you one for hamstrings. Okay, so the next one is for hamstring mobility. There's lots of different ways to do this movement. I'm just going to show you one simple way to start. So this is the good morning. We're going to do a split stance good morning. Go this way. So you're just placing 1 foot forward and 1 foot behind with the toes facing forward, okay? Front leg is straight. You can have a little bend in the back leg, and we're keeping the back straight as we fold down over that leg and holding a hand on the back so that you can really feel that it's not rounding. If it starts to round, then you've gone too far and just don't go as low, okay? Coming down, keeping straight through the spine and back up. Okay, and you'll feel that through the front leg. And you can do the other side. Okay, so that's just an example of a really good mobility drill that you can use to start to increase that flexibility through the hamstring in a really effective way. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial, and don't forget to like and subscribe to help support my channel, and thanks very much. See you next time. Bye.